I was going to bring you a midweek review. I try to every week, but yesterday with so many things happening last night, and then qualifiers on both sides of the border today, babies training yesterday, I just said, you know what, I'm going to do it Thursday afternoon. So we had a ton of horses race last night. Had a pretty good week. No complaints. Obviously, you can always pick spots where this horse could have been better or that horse could have been better. But for the most part, pretty hard to pick apart what took place today. If you're looking at the total body of work, Kevin just had a explosive start to the the restart from the pandemic. Man, oh man, his horses were just on fire. They were ready to rock. Kevin's always are. They're ready to go. They get in with horses that they look like they can beat, and they did. They did a great job. Kevin did a great job. So let's get right to it. So yesterday we start off. We had the babies training. I had a number of horses I wanted to go with. You guys saw the extensive list that I had put together last week as far as horses that I thought were underperforming for whatever reason, whether it be that day or in general. What do I think their issues are? What are we going to work on? How are we going to get them to where we want them to go? So a lot of those horses were on my list yesterday. The ones I went with were very happy. I made a little list of horses I wanted to talk about, and although Granite Hill didn't make that list, we made some shoeing changes. He was infinitely better. He did make a break, but when he was trotting, man, oh man, oh man, he looked good. Very impressed with what I saw from Granite Hill yesterday. Another horse that I never talk about, you guys don't own any shares of. Stonebridge Farms owns a small part, and I own a bigger part. Stonebridge Dolce really hasn't given us much to talk about. She was awesome yesterday. Much better. Now, she's still got a long way to go to join the general public, if you will. The general population of our barn to start talking about her on a regular basis. But from where she started, from where she's been to where she is, massive steps forward. Another horse, Grace, also made some huge steps forward this week, both on the drone and again yesterday. Amy gets along with Grace, and Grace likes Amy. So that tandem will stay together for quite a while. Amy asked me to go with Isa 10 yesterday. I went with her. She said, she's on the left line a bit. Yeah, she had that quarter crack left hind. Is that bothering her? I'm not sure. She's on the right shaft a little bit, but I got her up the inside and trotting perfect yesterday. Very happy, even though her ass was over a little bit. Very strong and trotting very good. So I was happy with Isa 10. Obviously, as you can know from looking at the stake payments of some horses I'm keeping a very close eye on. 3 horses in particular I needed to look very good yesterday. Voyage of Ice and Fire, Isa 10, and Luck of the Dragon. Those of you familiar with Ohio, the staking, the Next Generation Series, and those 3 horses that we had paid into that substantial amount of money. Those are $10,000 US for the nominations. Now, 9 horses go for $100 grand. First stake of the year in Ohio. It's a great concept. It's tailored along the same lines as the Mohawk Millions, except 10% of it. So Luck of the Dragon is by far our best Ohio colt. We don't have a ton of them, but a very good looking horse nonetheless. He looked great. Last 2 weeks, the drone, and yesterday Johnny came first over and just fed it to them. And he looked very good. Very impressed with Luck of the Dragon. Johnny's done a great job with him. Teresa's done a great job with him. Really impressed with Luck of the Dragon. Stonebridge Dolce, as I said, was good. Twinkle in Her Eye. Ron came up. Now, I had moved Twinkle in the Eye up to the top barn, and I'm sure it might be a little bit upsetting for Mario or for when I do it with anybody. But at the same time, there's questions I want to answer, and I want to be the one to answer them. I am responsible to you, right? They are responsible to me. That's the chain of command. And when it comes to a horse like Twinkle in Her Eye, I expected more. I want to see more. So why isn't she showing me more? I think I have a pretty good idea why she's not now. I would say she's a couple of pounds overweight, which is good. This time of year, we're usually struggling to keep weight on them. I think she's a couple of pounds overweight. She does have a splint right front. I was a little worried. Come out in the track, tiny little pinchy right front. I'll talk about something we've set up. A 3-tiered system for our horses and soreness, and I thought that maybe Twinkle in Her Eye would fit into that category. There's 2 horses in our barn, only 2 right now, that I'm saying, okay, we're gonna take a closer look at. Only 2, and they're not bad. There's nothing wrong with them. Both these horses have been vetted out. I don't think they need to go to the vet just yet. we're gonna implement this system first and see if it helps. I'll get to that in a minute. So Twinkle and I trained great yesterday. Little splint right front. We're gonna cryo that tomorrow. Otherwise, I thought she was very, very good. Got beat fair and square by Luck of the Dragon. He got up to beat me, and then Almost There Boss was, as he always is, flying on the outside. Really impressed with what I saw from these horses, and Twinkle and Rye was fine. I just want to get a look at them. You know, I read your emails. I get them when people say, hey, you know, what's Twinkle in your eye? Is she any good? What do you think? Now, it's too early for me to say if she's any good or what kind of horse she's going to be, but I do see discrepancies from what I expect and what I see on the track also, and I want to be able to answer. And that has nothing to do with Mario. I'm not saying, hey, you're doing a bad job, I'm going to take that horse. That isn't it at all. I have questions that I need to answer, so I'm going to answer them. And that is why Twinkle and Rye come up to the top barn. She's only going to stay there for a little while. She'll be going back down with Mario at some point. And she was good yesterday. Will to Win Hanover was awesome. Now, in fairness, Will to Win Hanover, James is always tinkering with her gear. I gave him a wide berth with this filly because I would be a lot more aggressive with her. I would work her harder, but I like what I see. I like what I see with this filly. I like the results that I've seen so far. That may be hard for you to quantify out there, saying, Nancy, she run all over the track the other day. I see her run. You don't see what I see. And when I see Will to Win Hanover, I see progression. I see advancements, and that's what I want to see. So James had gone back to an open bridle, changed a few more things, and I know she likes to pull up sometimes, just being stupid and green and immature. So I pulled Prairie Fire first over, and he gave her all she wanted. Now, she did hold on, and we were scooting on the end of it. Prairie Fire was out for over a mile on the outside and just kept coming and coming. I love this horse. He is quickly gaining stature, especially with me in the stable. He looked very, very good. So Will to Win Hanover was awesome. Prairie Fire was awesome. Massive Profit. I told you guys. You guys think I'm joking. I have it in my head now. It is March the 11th. I have it in my head now that Massive Profit is one of our best horses. I believe he will be. He's going to Indiana. We don't have him crazily staked. He's staked the same way Spent is in Indiana. He'll likely be going to Irv Miller. I just like what I see. There's just something about this horse. Something hidden away that we're going to have to drag out and polish up. It's there. I think it's there. Massive Profit was very good yesterday also. Garden State Dio's coming around. I told you guys she would. There was never a question in my mind. Once we started making her trot, there was never any question in my mind what kind of horse she was going to look like. Matt's MVP. A lot of people, oh my God, what's wrong with Matt's MVP? Relax. There's nothing wrong with Matt's MVP. Matt's MVP is a big, strong, ornery colt that still from time to time wants to do things his way. And he got it in his head. He didn't want to do his work very well on Saturday. I thought it was the shoes, but he beat the hell out of us yesterday. Came from the far outside and blew by everybody. We didn't change his shoes. I tried to. The blacksmith didn't get to him. So he had the same toes, the same everything as he did on Saturday. Just looked like a 180, a different horse. Johnny was happy with him. He looked strong. Of Tom was good. Bomb Hugger was good again. I told Greg Wade went with Bomb Hugger. He goes, what do you think? I said, just move her to the outside anywhere in the mile and do not put her up into 4th or 5th gear. Just let her idle. I don't want her ignition started up until April. So Greg just sat in the outside. Her and Of Tom trotted hard down the lane, and Matt's MVP went by both of us. I said to him, I looked over him at the lane, and we could both hear Matt's MVP coming like a freight train. He looked at me, and he went to tap her, and I said, don't touch her. Just leave her alone. Her and this filly, I don't want to start Of Tom up, and I don't want to start her up. We just let them trot under the wire. Tioga Sunshine, Amy was charging up the inside, and Matt's MVP just throttled all of us. He went by us on the outside and looked very, very good. That was a good set, and I was really impressed with Of Tom. The way she went about her work was very good. She's such a professional when she wants to be. She was great. Bomb Hugger was great. Tioga Sunshine was great. And Matt's MVP was spectacular yesterday. Now, lights weren't on, the camera wasn't on, but he was very good. Now, a horse that was concerning, because I could see her struggling, was 1-2 Skip a Few. She tied up about 2 weeks ago. Now, we didn't take her muscle count. It's 3 months before she's going to race. I'm not really worried about drawing her muscle count. It was obvious. She was stiff coming out of the bath rack. She tied up. And I went with her yesterday, and you could tell there's still a pile of knots. Remember we talked the other day about LSL? He got cast, and there was some knots in that left hind up over his back. Up over his back and down on his hamstring. Now, with tying up, it's more of a uniform thing. The whole back is hard and stiff knots all through it. That was 1-2 skip a few, but I'll tell you how tough this filly is. I could see her almost break, almost get pacey. I just sat her on the outside for the majority of 2.5 laps. And as she started to thaw out, she started to work her way out of those wrinkles. We come out of the last turn, I said, all right, girl, gone. She took off, blew by the leader, and opened up 2 lengths. Put the odd step in still because she's stiff as a board. But man, to show the intelligence and the patience and the tenacity and just the sheer power that she did yesterday, it's a filly. Again, I can't tell you what she's going to be this summer, but I can tell you how good she was yesterday. I love horses that do their work well. I love horses, and they don't have to be the best horses, but just horses that go out and want to do more, want to become better. And I talked about another, it's a great segue. I talked about another horse that did this last year. Felt good. We raced him in the Sire Stakes in Ohio. He didn't race great his first couple. He felt immature. Then he got hurt, and he was lame. And then he came back at the end of the year after that layoff, after the lameness, fought his way back. His last start of the year, which was his next start after getting hurt, his very first start after getting hurt, was in the Consolation. And I'm talking about GW Chrome. Now, many of you may have looked at the qualifiers this morning. Now, I'm jumping ahead of the races last night, but I used that segue. It was important. GW Chrome, I said to Jason, he'd been in 2.5. Let's go mile in 2.2. Just a nice, even mile, and then we'll judge him and figure out where he's at after that. It's the easiest way to do it. Going 2.1, 2.2 with the Pacers, going 2.2, 2.3 with, with GW Chrome, and then we'll go from there. GW Chrome, I looked at the chart line, my eyes near fell right out of my head. 20 and 3/4 length winner, 2 minutes and 2/5. 2 minutes and 2/5. Last quarter in 30 and 2, and they said there was a little wind. I texted Jason. I said, what took place there? And he just said he was a little warm going up to the gate, and he let him trot out of there. It sounded like he wasn't paying attention, to be honest. And then I showed the line to James, and James says, geez, was he ready to do that? And I said, the horse had an ear hood on, and a snake cord in his mouth, and he won by 20 lengths. And he goes 30 and 2. It's not like he come 28 and 3. And I said, probably when the 3/4 popped up 130, I would say shame started to set in at that point for Chris Lems. And he said, he said 2.2, 2 minutes is quite a big difference for a 3-year-old trotter. He just let him idle down the lane. But Jason said, well, first off, he had a snake cord and an ear hood on. Secondly, he just said he let him coast by what I'm told he did. So George, not shocking, he's been fast. Now, as I said to James, he goes, well, do you think he's a gold horse? And I said, easy. I can tell you what he is. We have no expectations. He's going into a maiden where he's immediately going to be 1-5. He could already beat Fox Valley Britska and Off-Road Hanover. One of them just won the maiden. The other one is good enough to win the maiden. Off-Road Hanover is not as good as Fox Valley Britska, in my mind, my humble opinion. And I don't think either of them can start up one side of George. So I think GW Chrome, maiden, Hackett, whatever, there's stake in Northfield. The sky is the limit for GW Chrome. I was so impressed, and I'm stressed out this time of year. Stake payment season, waiting by the mailbox for funds and money to show up, trying to figure out contingencies. Yeah, I get stressed. And that horse's line popped up. I'm telling you, it just melted right off me. Just water off a duck's back. I was so happy with George. And then Gray's the New Red and Well and Down. Gray's the New Red, he did what he said, go an easy mile. He won a mile in 2, 1 and 4, 30 on the end of it, I believe. And then Well and Down, there had some fast speed up front, and they won a mile in 55. He said she was wrapped up, finished strong in 1:58 flat. Really happy with that one.